Touching the Lord, blood diamonds, we the angels, you're valuable. Snatching folks out the church, they mishandle the gold. From rocks to precious stones, being cleansed of the filth. Go and sin no more.
Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, to his son Yahweh Shah Mashiach, the world calls Jesus Christ, right? Alright, family. It's been a minute, right? But I'm going to come with a quick little breakdown lesson, whatever you all want to call it, right? And this is going to be talking about us as a nation as a whole, right? And how we could get back on top as a nation, as a whole, as a community, as one. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, on the other side, right, Salaki, how these other nations know. They know who we are, right? And they know who's protecting us, right? And they know when they could go against us and fight against us and when they can't fight against us, right? So that's why this world, that's why I tell a lot of people, like, every aspect of this world goes against the Most High, man. And it's made that way for a reason, right? To keep us in our lowest estate, man. To keep the protection of the Most High away from us so they could keep that yoke around our necks, man. So they could keep us in captivity, man, right? But, you know, because a lot of people be like, oh, man, you know, we was kings, we was queens, we used to run countries and this and that. True. But then I ask, how do we get back to that position? I get a lot of this and that, this, that, and the third, right? But I also, you know, me personally, like, I don't have no, like, me personally, this is how I feel, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to all the movements that the black people have tried, from NAACP, the Black Panthers, all that, right? Et cetera, you know what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter, et cetera, right? Now, when it comes to me, I like how they stand up for the people, right? They'll stand up for the people, right? But like I tell a lot of people, right? Why do you think that most of them movements or whatever, you feel me, organizations really never kept going, or really never, like, stamped, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, they wasn't following the ways of the Most High. Yeah, they was for their peoples, but they wasn't following the laws. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't knock them, you know what I'm saying? They still will stand up for their people and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we could stand up for our people, but we also have to stand up for these laws and these commandments, right? Because, like I said, right now, as a nation, we a sinful nation, man. We a wicked nation, you know? And with that being said, being a wicked nation and a sinful nation, we ain't gonna have the protection from the Most High. And they know that, right? They know that. All right? So let's go ahead and dive straight into it, right? I'm gonna go straight to Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34, right? It reads, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So righteousness, that's what gets a nation on high. But sin brings shame, reproach, means shame to any people, right? Sin brings shame to any people, any nation, right? But righteousness exalts a nation, right? So we have to come back to being a righteous nation to get back on top. Because right now we're a nation of sin, a sinful nation. So we're not on high right now. We're a nation of shame. You know what I'm saying? We live a life of shame, man, right? So we got to understand, once again, we got to get back to righteousness, right? So, as a nation, right, if we're committing sin as a nation, we're bringing shame, right? So now we gotta find out what sin is, right? So we can stop this thing, right? Let's go ahead and go to 1 John. We're gonna go to 1 John 3, 4. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, right? Because it said once again, sin is a reproach, is a shame to any people, to any nation, right? So we got to find out what sin is, right? So this is 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresses also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law, right? So with that being said, man, we have to keep these laws, man. Because sin is what? For sin is the transgression of the law. Sin is going against the law. And right now, as a nation of people, we are going against his laws, man. We are going against his laws, his commandments. We are going against his ways in any shape, form, and fashion, man. Because this world made it that way, man. Right? But when we come out here and we teach our people that, they don't want to hear it. Because we're stiff-necked, rebellious people, right? Let's continue, right? Because we know the law, right? We know the law is what? It's perfect. It converts the soul, right? So once again, if we commit sin as a nation, we bring a shame. Because sin is breaking the law, go against the law, right? Watch this. Psalms. We're going to go to Psalms chapter 19 and 7. Right? So as a nation of people, man, we got to get back to his ways, man. We got to stop living these worldly ways, these folly ways, these man-made ways, and get back to his ways, his laws that he gave to us. You know what I'm saying? Psalms 19:7. It reads, "The law of the Lord is perfect." It's perfect. Ain't no flaw. Ain't no wrong. It's perfect. So why go against it, right? The only reason why you go against it is because you want to be stiff-necked and live whatever way you want to live, right? And as a people, as a nation, if we want to come back on top as a nation, we can't be living that way. We have to get back to his laws, man, and his commandments as a nation to get back on top, right? Let's continue. Psalm 19:7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul, right? That's how we convert our souls, man. That's how we come back to the Most High. Is by leaving these worldly ways, leaving that life of sin, and coming back to his laws and his commandments, right? The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise simple, right? So his laws, his testimonies, his commandments, man, they make the simple wise, right? These make you wise. The law make you wise, man. You know what I'm saying? It makes you wise. You know what I'm saying? So these other nations, right? These other nations that's in power, they know who we are. They know what was given to us. They know how we are protected by the Most High when we keep these laws. But they also know if we keep living a life of sin as a nation, we won't have that protection. So without having that protection, they can keep doing what they do to us, right? They can keep doing what they do to us because we don't have that protection because we're living a life of sin. We went away from the laws, right? I'm going to say it once again. These nations, these other nations know who we are. They know who protects us, right? I tell a lot of people, they study us more than we study ourselves, right? Check this. Let's jump into the Apocrypha, right? This is Judith. I'm going to read Judith chapter 5, verses 17 through 21, right? And y'all can jump back to the top and get the context of it, you feel me? Because I want y'all to study for yourself, study to show yourself approved, right? But we're going to jump into it. And whilst they sin not before their God, they prospered, right? That's how we prosper. When we don't sin against the Most High. That's how we prosper as a nation, as a people, as a community. When we don't sin and go against the ways of the Most High, right? Let me read that again. Judas chapter 5, verse 17. And while they sin not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hated iniquity was with them. So when we're not sinning, when we're not going against the ways of the Most High, living a life of sin, doing evil things, following the other nations' ways, man, you feel me? He's with us, right? He's with us, and that's how we prosper, right? Let's continue. Verse 18. But, when they departed from the way which he appointed them. So he appointed us a way. We don't have free will. He appointed us a way. But when we departed from that way, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities was taken by their enemies. So when we go against the ways of the Most High that he gave us, we get destroyed in any way, shape, and form by our enemies. Right? Let's continue. Verse 19. But now are they returned to their God, and come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Right? So if we want to return to our place, to our home, if we want to return to the Most High, man, we have to go back to the way that he gave us. He gave us a strict way on how to live. You know what I'm saying? Follow these laws and these commandments, man. Right? Let's jump down to verse 20. Watch this homeboy talking to his man. You from these the other nations, right? The king done called all his partners and stuff from all these nations. I'm gonna give you a little breakdown. The king done called all his little partners from all these nations and like, yo, man, who these people over here? You feel what I'm saying? That don't want to meet with me and this and that, woo woo wop wop, right? So homeboy was like, hey man, let me go ahead and put this, you know what I'm saying? Let me put this word in your ear about these people, and I'm not gonna lie to you. So that's basically what's going on, right? So let's go ahead and jump down to verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. So right there, they're like, look, he like, look, hey king, look, man, I ain't gonna lie to you now, all right? Now, if we find that they're sinning against their God, that's when we can go get them. All right? If they sinning and not following his laws and commandments the ways that he gave them, my king, my Lord, my governor, that's the time to attack. Right? Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So he told them, look here, man. Hey, man, look. The time to attack is when they in a sinful form, when they're in a nation full of sin. That's the time to attack, because they ain't going to have their king. They ain't going to have no protection. But on the other hand, king, if they doing what the Most High told them to do, and they living a life of holy and righteousness, hey man, let's just leave them people alone. Keep going, man. Because they protected. Now I'm telling you, let's just leave them alone, man. Let them be, and let's just keep going this way, man. But if they're not following his ways, we got them. Let's run upon them, right? They know who we are, man, and they know how to keep us from that protection, right? Because the thing is, right, they know this, man. These other nations know this, right? Watch this. Because in Ephesians, let's go to Ephesians. Let's go to Ephesians, right? Ephesians chapter 6, right? We're going to go to Ephesians 6. This is right here. Ephesians 6, chapter 12, right? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So these people in these high places in these other nations, you feel me, that's on high right now, that's in rule, they know what's up. You feel me? They know what's up. Right? We just read in Judith chapter 17 through 21, right? They like, look, man, if they live in a life of sin, we got them. If they live in a life of holiness and righteousness, leave them alone. But they know that's why they try to keep us in a life of sin. That's why they try to have us follow the ways of the world and these other nations and this and that, right? Because that's who we wrestling against, man. Because they know what's up, right? And we got to get back to it, man. We got to. It's a must. You know what I'm saying? As a nation, that's the only way we're going to prosper, man. That's the only way we're going to get back on top. Is by getting back to his laws and his commandments. Because the Most High gave us two choices. From the jump, he gave us two choices. And them two choices we're going to find out right here. And I'm going to end it with these two. This is, matter of fact, no, let me step back. Let me step back. Right? Because we just read Ephesians 6:12, right? For we wrestle against, you know what I'm saying, principalities and darkness of this world, right? But if we truly love the Most High, right? If we truly love the Most High, what should we do? What must we do, right? Let's find out what we must do. Let's go to John. John chapter 14, 15, right? Let's go to John 14 and 15 to find out what we must do to show that we love the Most High, Yahweh and Yahawashi, right? And how we could get back to our top tier as a nation, as a people, as a community, right? This is John 14, 15. This is red letters too, right? So that means Yahawashi is talking, right? Jesus, right? If ye love me, keep my commandments. Drop the mic. If ye love me, keep my commandments. Drop the mic. Red letters. We must keep the commandments, man. Right? That's how we show them that we love them. And that's how we keep that protection. And as a nation, that's how we get back to the top. Right? Because the Most High gave us two choices. Two choices. Right? And we're going to find these two choices out in Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's go to Deuteronomy, man. As a nation, man, we got to do better as a nation, man. As a people, we got to do better, man. We got to get back to these laws and these commandments, man. And lead the ways of this world alone. All right? Deuteronomy 28. All right? Let's go. I'm trying to set something up real quick. Pages something new. If you know, you know. All right. Proverbs 28, 1 through 2 right now. Right? We're going to read this. I'm going to leave off on these two scriptures right here, right? First Deuteronomy 28, 1 and 2. It gave us two choices, right? And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments. All his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. So how do we get back to being on top of all nations, man. How do we get back to being the blessings? How do we get back to being a blessed nation instead of a cursed nation? By keeping all his commandments, man. By keeping all his commandments. That's how we get back to being on top as a nation, man. That's how we as a nation, we get the blessings back, man. Instead of living in curses 24/7, right? That's how we do it as a nation, by getting back to his laws and his commandments, right? Now, let's jump to Deuteronomy 28:15. But, check this. But, Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So, if we don't do all his commandments and all his laws, man, these curses, these punishments will be upon us. We will keep living in hard times, man. Period. He gave us two choices, man. Follow my ways and get back. Follow my ways and get put back up on top as a nation and receive all my blessings, or not follow my ways and be stuck in these curses as a nation. And see, now we understand these people know that. So they make it so hard for us to try to follow his laws. But if we truly love him, we will follow his commandments and his laws. This walk ain't easy. But if you truly love him, you will go through whatever you got to go through. It's not going to be easy. You got to, you got to. You're going to get hit sometimes. But you got to keep. You feel me? I'm going to end off with saying all praise and glory to Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shah Mashiach, that the world calls Jesus Christ. K.O.Y. Yasharahla, family. Let's get it, nation.